to ensure that the infrastructure that is needed to give credence to that realization is actually pursued with utmost purpose. So one of the most critical infrastructure is to ensure that you have the requisite infrastructure to mitigate against hazard and to get the country back to normalcy as quickly as possible after a natural disaster. We, as you know, all of us living in Dominica, we know that we're prone to hurricanes. We're within close proximity to where we stand. So we sit this morning. We have this magnificent regional hurricane shelter / resource center, costing the state over $18 million. And that is historic in the sense that historically, we have been actually ensuring after a hurricane that we use schools and in some cases other public buildings for shelters. And you have situations whereby students cannot return to school because there are persons still residing in those schools. That will be no more going forward. And as we proceed into the future, this hurricane shelter can actually accommodate 500 people. We also have Casibus, and this hurricane shelter, which also has a resource center component to it, can house 300 people. And that is significant. And that is what we are talking about in Dominica becoming the first climate resilient nation in the world. There are a number of other facets to that, so to speak. But of course, having the physical infrastructure to house our people in the event of a hurricane is rudimentary to ensuring that this country can get back to normalcy as quickly as possible. The other issue I wanted to reference before, I believe the court in any civilized democracy is the foundation of the nation. You may recall, while people, after a dangerous hurricane, were still wetting, while the homes were still deroofed, there was a hoopla about the physical housing of the courts. Persons paraded around the city. That notwithstanding that people were still wetting. Our Prime Minister and his Labour Party administration values court. And we gave the commitment that everything will be done to ensure that the court, I'm referencing this, the Supreme Court, inclusive of the civil and criminal courts, the courts are adequately housed. We have gotten to a point where we have seen basically the reconstruction of the second and third floors upstairs of the post office building on Bayfront to the tune of over $3 million. At a time when we were first facing a pandemic that we have never seen. At a time when our revenue streams are not what they used to be before the advent of this deadly disease. That notwithstanding, the government has been able to find this amount of money to ensure that the courts can be placed in a modernized setting, notwithstanding COVID and the challenges that come with this deadly disease. We have already begun the transfer process from the registry to this new setting. It is beautiful, it is fantastic, and we provide the press an opportunity, God's willing, next week, so that the public can have an appreciation of the tremendous work this administration has done through the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs. I'm elated about this. It has taken a while, but Rome was not built in a day. This building is also equipped with an elevator, and it's a modernized setting, as I've said, and it is better to what previously obtained. And that is consistent with our theme of building back better. So we have gotten to the point that 3.5 years after Hurricane Maria, the structures and the infrastructure that we're building to support the governance of this country are more robust than what previously obtained. And that is, in my view, a government that is serious, a government with the type of leadership that is purposeful and is concerned about the future of this country. So the Deputy Registrar is there, and I want to apologize for the Registrar General acting, who, in my view, her stewardship thus far has been tremendous. She's not well, and I pray that she'll be better as time progresses. The other issue that I want to speak to before I make reference in a more detailed manner, reference of e-passport and the migration period from a motion-readable passport to an e-passport. It has to do with how do we going forward, get the police force to be more responsive, and getting the kind of mindset that policing does not reside only within the city of Roseau, and to embark, therefore, on an outreach program in the various communities. You have Roseau, for matter of fact, but you have Emsall, you have the One Houses, you have Castle Comport, where you find that persons who believe that it is right to enter people's private settings, their homes. We have to ensure going forward that we're creative and we really embark on this community policing program, which I believe is important. And putting in place a community policing program does not mean that you leave it to the community to police themselves. That process has to be led by the police, and to ensure that the purpose of community policing is realized, and that is to reduce crime or to prevent crime when it can be prevented, so to speak. So that is something that I'm looking forward to going forward. I want also, as I move to our e-passport, on a policy change that we have taken, which I believe is important for the public to actually have an appreciation of, has to do with the officers who have been involved in the border response initiative. Bearing in mind, with COVID-19, you have more associated challenges with the officers who are actually protecting our borders. And you know that Dominica is a beautiful place, but with the natural beauty brings challenges. So you have almost every bay is a natural port. So it is very difficult to actually effectively police the waters. But I want to actually place on the public record my commendation for the officers who have been involved in protecting our borders. And it has been a joint endeavor involving not only the officers who are stationed within the Coast Guard division, but also the drug squad, guys who work within the intelligence unit. And we cannot not make specific and special mention of the customs department. I believe the custom department, in some instances, the custom officers who have been involved in that endeavor sometimes show more enthusiasm than the police, you know? And I think that they should be commended. So, what we'll be seeing, hopefully in the month of February, is an addition of a patrol boat complements the government of the United States of America through the instrumentality of US SOFCOM. And we are happy for this new boat that, upon receiving that boat, will help us to further patrol and to protect our borders. I'm not going to give specific details, but we have been able to have concentrations with the Coast Guard at multiple locations to ensure that the element of surprise can be actually had when the officers actually are patrolling the waters. And so that will significantly add to our assets in the water. Notwithstanding COVID, and I want to especially thank the Prime Minister, who's also the Minister for Finance, in ensuring that over $1.3 million was provided to totally reconstruct the Coast Guard jetty. In the next few months, again, and that $1.3 million came from our own resources, and I want to also place on record my appreciation for the FIU in that regard, and I see Mr. Farrell is there in full form, so he'll be presenting today and will be able to give more specifics as to the work that the FIU has been doing. The slipway is an outstanding issue, and that will be funded by the government of the United States of America, and we're looking forward to that. One of the important initiatives that this administration and through the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs undertook was the introduction of a new passport, namely an e-passport with enhanced security features. And initially we were given a migration period and of two years and 3 months. I want to speak to that specifically here this morning, and thereafter the various heads will speak to the departments and to give highlights of the respective departments, consistent with the mandates of the respective departments. You may recall on January 10th, you may recall that if I were to now just take some time out to speak to that change in the policy shift referring to the migration period. You may recall that the Commonwealth of Dominica launched its e-passport on the 29th of July, 2021, and that was done at police headquarters. As I said just now, this new passport contains upgraded security features, and it has a microchip for enhanced security purpose. I must report to the public today that 7,000 passports have been issued. Therefore, it is reasonable and fair to say that this passport has been met with some degree of enthusiasm. However, as I said just now, a review of the time frame originally approved, you may recall, for the transition period to the e-passport has been reviewed, and given the pace at which the world is currently moving and the emphasis internationally, and you're talking about improved security systems as well as the demand for safer and more secured systems. There's also a universal demand for more efficient and secure travel documents that are acceptable by all and that are in keeping with relevant international standards and protocols. As a responsible government, therefore, we have taken a decision, your government has taken a decision to amend the transition period. That is to say, from emotional level passports to e-passports from a period of 2 years to a period of 6 months commencing January 30th, 2022. And what, therefore, is the reason for that? And what does it mean, therefore? It means that the original end of the transition period, that is to say, July 30th, 2023, has been altered or amended to August 31st, 2022. Let me give the public the assurance that the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, to mitigate against any element of panic, has developed plans to guide you in the upcoming months. Firstly, those of us who have driven around police headquarters would have recognized, additional space has been created at the Immigration and Passport Office in Roseau. And that is done for the precise reason in order to ensure that there's additional staff and additional equipment that will enable quicker processing of applications. I want to also give the public the assurance and confidence that a shift system will be put in place to ensure that there are no delays in passport issuance. And further, it is important to note, and very instructive too, that at present there are 2 mobile kits which have the capacity for recognition and data capture from any location. These mobile kits will be deployed within the Commonwealth of Dominica. The major communities will be targeted, and people from the surrounding communities can therefore take advantage of these registration days and locations. It means, therefore, that everyone will not have to come to Roseau or to travel to Roseau to complete their registration or to hand in the applications for a new e-passport. As we move forward, the communities will be reviewed, but some of the communities that are being targeted thus far include the second town of Portsmouth, Maho, and Maho is by no means a town. But it's a beautiful and exciting community. I wanted to say that before anybody going to say Black Man's declared Maho a town. I saw the reporters at the back writing that they said Portsmouth, the second town in Maho. St. Joseph, Vickers, La Plaine, and Granby. A review will be done to include other communities and going forward. The immigration team will be available for 2 days at each of the locations to afford everyone ample time to get the necessary documents for submission for the new e-passport. Passport application forms will be available at all police stations on island. The passport application forms with instructions are all available on the government website www.dominica.gov.dm. In the upcoming weeks, there will be various press appearances and local programs to ensure that the public is properly informed. And this will include a coordinator with also a communication officer who will coordinate the dissemination of information to the public. When we initially launched the e-passports, I can recall there was some uproar reference to Dominicans living overseas. Let me just reference that particular situation. And in that regard, Dominicans residing overseas, we want to encourage you not to panic as we amend the transition period. There's a current procedure in place in relation to application through the various Dominican consulates. That process still remains. And people, therefore can avail themselves of this process if they so wish. Let me just say that this government is thinking ahead, and therefore is very deliberate in the manner in which it does things. And in that regard, permanent offices will be established in New York, in the United Arab Emirates, and in London. These offices will be fully equipped to facilitate all application processes, including data and image capture. The installation of the overseas passport stations will take 5 months. The issuing department will remain centralized. So when those permanent offices will be established, there will be no issuing of passports in those locations. The information will be instantaneously transmitted to the centralized location in Roseau, that is to say the immigration department in Roseau, and all passports will be issued by the centralized location. To say further, the system is locked by way of 2 keys. Commissioner of Police and the head of immigration. 2 keys. And all passport books are kept in Dominica under the supervision and custody of the Chief of Police, who is also the Chief Immigration Officer as per the Immigration and Passport Act. I want you to say that. In the interim, and we also recognize, apart from those 3 locations that we have spoken about, the other locations with Dominicans living overseas that we want to also ensure that they have the opportunity to apply for those passports that we are speaking about. So, while the overseas passport workstations are under construction, the mobile kits will be deployed overseas to undertake registration, data and image capture of persons living abroad who require those services. Teams consisting of police officers have already been selected to travel to various locations across the globe to ensure that as many Dominicans as possible can be given access to registration for the new e-passports. The locations that the mobile kit will be deployed to will include 1, Canada, Texas, and Florida. There will also be a Caribbean tour. You'll appreciate also the number of Dominicans living in Antigua, and the departments of Guadeloupe in particular, Martinique, and St. Martin, and the BVI, St. Croix. So the dates will be announced for those visits so people can prepare themselves to ensure that we have a smooth transition period as we migrate from the e-passport, from the motion readable passport to the e-passport. In the upcoming days and weeks, the communication officer and the coordinator will be actually interfacing with the public to give the days and the times that the immigration officers will be in the various localities within the country to give people the opportunity to apply for those passports. Let me thank the many Dominicans thus far who have applied for those passports. And let me also thank the police for ensuring, and as you know, the police officers are the ones who are actually entrusted to execute immigration functions. And to say further that the persons, additional staff to work within the immigration department have already been identified. And we are hoping going forward that we can have a smooth transition as Dominica again make a step to becoming world first class as we strive to build a dynamic Dominica for all. So I wanted to issue that statement, and I can say we'll be having the services of Mr. Julian Morris, who will assist the ministry in the dissemination of information to the public. We have actually gotten very good support from Mrs. Durand, who actually developed our communication plan. It's a very deliberate process, and we want to ensure that as we migrate to our e-passport, that it is done with minimal disruption. And the best way to do that is to ensure that there's a communication outreach program, but everybody can be clear as to the direction that we're taking. So thank you very much, and I'll just stop there and to allow the various heads to proceed with this morning event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Without further ado, because we do have quite a bit of presentations, I will ask the Chief of Police to give his presentation.
Thank you very much, Madam B.S., Permanent Secretary. Let me recognize Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Ms. Joanne Commodore, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, other heads of divisions, the media, the listening and viewing public. Good morning. First, let me take the opportunity to wish everyone here a happy and prosperous New Year. I will now move into my presentation and make reference to the status of the human resource of the Commonwealth and Dominica Police Force. The strength of the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force as of Thursday, January 13th, 2022, which is today's, stands at 563. From that number, we have 508 police officers and 55 special constables. Out of the 508 police officers, there are 55 police recruits who enlisted on September 6, 2021. There are 39 males and 14 females. They are all undergoing recruit training and are expected to graduate in March of 2022, this year. The recruiting process continues, and we are hoping to train another set of recruits at the end of this course. So I am asking young men and young women who want to serve and make their contribution in the police force to apply. Due to illness, we lost 2 of our police officers, Corporal Acting Stanley Toussaint and Constable Julian Francis. May their soul rest in peace. In May of 2021, as part of the Regional Security System Response Mechanism, 10 police officers were deployed to assist the government and people of St. Vincent in the aftermath of the eruption of La Soufrière volcano. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force has recorded a total of 113 COVID-19 cases. We now have active 15 police officers with COVID. The officers are quarantined at home or at government facilities. Fortunately, the police force has had no COVID-19 related deaths. We continue to encourage officers to get vaccinated, and to date, 320 police officers have been vaccinated, while 25 officers have received the booster shot. In 2021, training for police officers was conducted virtually. 217 police officers received training on a wide range of topics. The officers participated in training courses such as human resource management, cybercrime, financial crime, drug interdiction, monitoring and evaluation, executive leadership, juvenile justice reform, instructor development, money laundering, and disaster management. These programs were all delivered via the CBSI, that is the Caribbean Basin Security Initiative, Connect, and Zoom. Many of these courses were coordinated by the Regional Security System, RSS, with sponsorship from regional and international partners. COVID-19 enforcement of the regulations. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force continues to enforce the COVID-19 regulations to prevent the further spread of the deadly disease. Officers have been deployed to provide 24 security coverage, patrolling on land and on sea. For the year 2021, 180 people have been charged for various breaches of the COVID-19 regulations. We have intercepted 9 vessels, and 66 people have been charged for illegal entry. In 2020, but I stand corrected to say, because I heard the minister made reference to 2021, the government of the Commonwealth of Dominica took a decision to replace the machine readable passport with the e-passport. A new building was recently erected on the Immigration Office building to accommodate additional staff to process the demands in increased applications as a result of the phasing out of the machine readable passports. I now make reference to infrastructure. In 2021, a number of projects were undertaken to ensure that the living conditions of the officers and work environment are comfortable. Completed projects in 2021. Office of the Assistant Superintendent and Inspector Quarters at Montrose was completed at a cost of $142,320. The storeroom at Monroe was completed at a cost of $69,716.93. The pier at the Marine Base was completed at a cost of $2,103,925. The Immigration Office, which I just made reference of, was completed at a cost of $160,000. Ongoing projects, we have the Daly's Police Station and Cassibus Police Station. Works are continuing on the refurbishment of the Daly's and Cassibus Police Stations. The officers continue to be housed in private rented accommodations. New projects to be undertaken in 2022. The training unit at Monroe. Renovation of St. Joseph Police Station to accommodate the Magistrates Court and female police officers. Plans are well on the way to build a new police training school and a police station at Maho. The Maho Police Station has been moved from a rented building in Upper Belfast to another rented building at Lower Belfast in close proximity to the existing police station building. This was necessary for improved accommodation. In 2021, the sum of $3,350,919.60 was confiscated by the police during an operation. That money was handed over to the Financial Investigative Unit, FIU. Traffic fatalities. In 2021, Dominica recorded 8 road fatalities. 4 fatalities were as a result of collisions involving motorcycles. In 2020, there were 16 road fatalities, so we have a reduction by 50%. Firearm seizures and arrests. For the past year, 2021, 28 individuals, to include 26 males and 2 females, were arrested and charged for possession of firearm and ammunition. For the year 2021, the police recovered 35 firearms and 3,053 rounds of ammunition. Crime and related statistics. In 2021, Dominica recorded 671 indictable reports and 2,677 summary reports. In 2020, Dominica recorded 818 indictable reports and 2,860 summary reports. In 2021, there was a total of 672 indictable reports compared to 818 in 2020. This represents a reduction by 17.84%. In 2021, there was a total of 2,677 summary reports compared to 2,830 reports in 2020. This represents a reduction in summary reports by 5.4% from the previous year, 2020. In 2021, Dominica recorded 9 murders, and in 2020, 15 murders. This represents a reduction by 40% from the year 2020. Out of the murders, 8 have been solved. This represents an 88% solving rate. For 2020, there were 10 reports of rape in 2021 and 12 in 2020. There was a reduction in reports of burglaries from 543 in 2020 to 409 in 2021. This represents 24.67% reduction in reports of burglaries. I want to thank the government of Dominica for their continued support in ensuring that we, the police, are provided with the necessary resources to continue to meet our mandate. Let me extend thanks to our regional and international partners for their continuous assistance in the area of training. I wish to thank the rank and file of the force for their commitment and devotion to duty. I will say that the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force will continue to ensure that law and order is maintained in Dominica. The police force cannot do it alone. And again, I am calling on the general public to assist us in whatever way they can, especially in providing information to the police. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. I will call the Deputy Chief Crime Officer next to give his presentation.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Eben Blackmore, PS Ms. Joan Commodore, Mr. Cabon, Commissioner of Police, other heads of division, media organizations, and the listening and viewing public. Happy New Year to all. I wish you the best in 2022. The Dominica Fire and Ambulance Services throughout the year 2021 continued to maintain our high standard of service delivery despite the new normal, which is life with COVID or living with COVID-19. The pandemic obviously took a toll on the Fire and Ambulance Services operation, but we were able to implement new protocols or upgraded protocols for operations to protect our staff and that of maintaining the high standard of service delivery. During 2021, our human resource got a much needed boost despite the effects or the challenges that we suffered from COVID-19. In 2020, a decision was taken to bring in additional resource in the form of 28 new staff. And in 2021, the fire services can report with a lot of delight that Cabinet took a decision to add those 28 persons to our establishment and an additional 6. So that was good news to our human resource in 2021 that we have an additional 34 persons to our stock. During the pandemic in August of 2021, our staff got severely affected during the COVID-19 wave, where we had an initial 17 persons infected among our force, mainly from the brigade headquarters. We managed the situation by utilizing persons who were retired and also on vacation, and some volunteers came in to assist in maintaining our response to COVID-19. At present, we can report that approximately 42 persons have been infected with the COVID-19, and we have at the moment 7 in quarantine. Our buildings. Post-Hurricane Maria, renovations were done on most of our buildings around the island. The final renovation was completed at headquarters during the year 2021, and we can report that the renovations at headquarters was in the sum of approximately $500,000. So presently, all work on renovation have been completed within the fire and ambulance services. Ambulances. I can report that in 2021, one new bus, Toyota Hiace bus, was provided to the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Services, and through our garage staff, that bus was retrofitted into an ambulance at the cost of approximately $172,000. To respond to the COVID-19 crisis, our garage was also able to transform another vehicle into an ambulance which would be able to carry up to 7 persons. So we had the stretchers moved and the other equipment and insert oxygen and seats, passenger seats. So that ambulance was able to transport persons who could sit and did not need to lie. That was an achievement for us in 2021. That assisted in our COVID response. COVID response in 2021. The fire ambulance services, we did 1,372 COVID response calls, transporting 2,279 persons. And that number could have been easily higher, but through it and through a plan, an operational plan, which was put in place with the Ministry of Health, we were able to use the facilities of certified taxi operators. Those taxi operators were trained in doffing and donning of PPEs, sanitizing, and COVID-19 protocols, and that alleviated the amount of stress on the fire and ambulance services due to COVID. The fire and ambulance services during 2021 recorded its highest response statistics for years. For the first time, we have recorded 11,516 responses with our core activities of firefighting, ambulance calls, rescues, motor vehicle accidents, and fire prevention. In 2021, our fires that we responded to totaled 200, and that's a drop from 2020 where we responded to 435. The main contributor to that decrease by 235 was that of the reduction in the amount of bushfires that we had for the year. In 2020, we responded to a total of 371 bushfires, and in 2021, we responded to 154. Ambulance calls. For the first time in the history of the fire and ambulance services, we have recorded in excess of 10,000 ambulance calls nationwide. And that's an increase by 1,563 over that of 2020. In 2020, the fire and ambulance services responded to 9,299 ambulance calls, and in 2021, we responded to 10,862 ambulance calls. And if you would minus the amount of COVID calls from that amount, we would have still crossed a significant amount of 10,000. During the year 2021, the fire and ambulance services also responded to an increased amount of accident calls. In 2020, we responded to 76 calls, and in 2021, we responded to 90 calls, 14 more than 2020. And this is where I would urge the motor vehicle and road users, motor vehicle drivers, please be cautious on the road. We have much more vehicles on the road presently, and we're asking persons to be very cautious in handling your vehicles on the road. As it relates to fire prevention activities, the fire and ambulance services, despite the COVID-19, we saw an increase in the amount of fire prevention activities by the fire prevention unit. We had a total of 362 fire prevention activities, 87 more than the 275 that we did in 2020. The fire and ambulance services cannot operate without our partners. And we continue to work very closely with, we may call it outside agencies, but in the fire services, we say our partners. Topping that list would be that of the Office of Disaster Management. We continue to work very closely with the Office of Disaster Management in fulfilling our duties on a daily basis. 2021 saw an increase in the collaboration with the Ministry of Health. And let me here say thank you very much to persons like Dr. Esprit, Dr. Nesty, and Dr. Ahmed, who have worked very closely with the fire and ambulance services, giving advice on how we should respond to COVID-19. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, even we are, not just that we are partners in that close neighbors, but we work very closely, and a lot of time we have to say thank you very much for the cooperation during many calls during the COVID crisis, where police and fire responded simultaneously. Auto Depot. Auto Depot has been one of the facilities that the fire and ambulance services use, and because we have a lot of motor vehicles and our garage staff is up and running 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, Auto Depot has been a very good partner for us. And I will single out a small business garage. It's that of Rennick Garage in Bath Estate. This garage has been with us whenever we need outside assistance. He is always quick to touch us. Central Medical Stores, one of the pillars in our operation in providing us with a lot of equipment that we need, PPEs and others. The staff at Central Medical Stores has been perfect during the year 2021. And let me say thank you very much to all other governmental departments who have been with us for the year 2021. And it would not be fair if I would leave here without saying thank you very much to the staff of the fire and ambulance services. The chief, a wonderful leader who have guided us through the years and continue to do the same with dignity. The station officers, increased challenge during 2021, but they stood up to it. And the men under their command. The Honorable Minister talked about the staff and how they continue to work. I'll go even further. The dedicated staff, who even sometimes on the day off would be at work. They continue to perform at a very high standard, and we must appreciate what they have been doing. And in some cases, I would say, for example, immediate, we have an incident and we have to replace staff at another station, and persons would literally volunteer to go to that other station, even though they were supposed to go off on that day. We want to say that the Dominica Fire and Ambulance Services success was simply because of the staff. And finally, the PS and the minister, two leaders who stood strong and led us through the thick and thin, and they continue to do that. Honorable Minister, thank you very much. And PS Commodore, thank you very much. And let me say thank you very much to all Dominicans who have supported us throughout the year 2021. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy. I will now call on the Dominica State Prison to give their presentation.
Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister of National Security and Home Affairs. Ms. Joanne Commodore, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs. Mr. Daniel Carbon, Chief of Police. Other heads of division, the media, the listening and viewing public. And now to my presentation. The Dominican Prison Service continued its reconstruction effort in 2021 after the severe damage on the institution buildings caused by Hurricane Maria in 2017. Significant construction works on damaged buildings was satisfactorily completed. We demolished an old structure to make way for the new multipurpose building, which houses the virtual courtrooms and the new non-contact visit area. It is proposed that the upper floor will house a conference room and a possible library for use by the inmates. In this current budget cycle, we anticipate the much completed top-to-out buffer zone, that is our secondary fence. At the Dominican Prison Service, there is a strong focus on rehabilitation of inmates, and we have collaborated with various agencies like Youth Development Division, Adult Education Division, Planned Parenthood, the Juvenile Justice Reform Program, among others, to conduct training sessions for the inmates. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, some of our rehab programs had to be suspended. One of our limitations is adequate space for training programs. Currently, we are retrofitting a building with assistance from the Youth Development Division. This aspect is building maintenance module with 10 young inmates participating. They are taught various skills, that is, steel bending, electrical plumbing, carpentry, among others. It is hoped that when this project is completed, we will be embarking on another training module that is tailoring. As soon as the institution is medically cleared and is allowed to be fully open, we will recommence our remedial literacy classes, which will offer our inmates the opportunity to write CXC exams in various subjects. It is the vision of the ministry to develop a section of the institution as a rehab wing where we can introduce a plethora of skill and competencies to the inmates, such as woodcraft, tailoring, computers, leathercraft, arc welding, masonry, carpentry, upholstery, animal husbandry, gardening, etc. I must report that we were not spared from COVID-19. At the beginning, we began weekly COVID-19 testing of staff in an effort to prevent introduction and the spread of the dreaded virus. But even with our prevention strategy, we saw the spread of the virus among our inmates population, over 135 inmates. A number of our staff members also fell victim to COVID-19. Although our institution had COVID-19 patients on both sides, that is, officers and inmates, the officers who were not infected still had to come to work. It was a challenge, but we got our personal protective equipment, our PPEs, and followed health protocols. Also, we had to develop strategies for quarantine and isolation. The good Lord saw us through. We have been using the drive-through testing site very regularly, because before any inmate is released from the institution, he or she is tested to ensure that they are medically cleared before they reintegrate into society. I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank the staff of this facility for showing bravery and commitment to the task, even in the face of uncertainty and panic. We have also seen the movement to permanently appoint staff members in various vacant positions. Yes, we expect that movement to continue because many more young officers are anticipating receiving their letters. With this being said, I just want to say to the Minister, Mr. Blackmore, the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Commodore, the Commissioner of Police, Mr. Daniel Carbon, and to you, the heads of the various divisions within the ministry, hoping for a productive 2022. Thank you, and I wish everybody the best.
Thank you so much. I will call the Office of Disaster Management next.
Ms. Joan Commodore, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs. Good day to all. I am Fitzroy Pascal, the National Disaster Coordinator. Welcome to the Office of Disaster Management. The Office of Disaster Management continues to execute disaster risk reduction projects as part of its mandate to support the resilience building strategy of Dominica. The key projects that will be the focus of this presentation are: 1, the construction of resilient regional emergency shelters; 2, construction of satellite emergency operation centers and disaster relief warehouses to strengthen district and community level operations; construction of the administrative wing of the Office of Disaster Management; and repair and upgrade of the volcanic seismic monitoring and early warning network. As it relates to the regional emergency shelters, the government of Dominica, through the support of regional and international partners, has embarked on the construction of regional emergency shelters across the island to reduce the strain on conventional resources. The first being the Layo Regional Emergency Shelter / Resource Center. The present COVID-19 pandemic has further strengthened the need to have such facilities available to better safeguard the people of Dominica during hazard impacts. The government of Dominica, with financing from the European Union, commenced construction of 2 massive regional emergency shelters in 2020, one in Jimit and the other in the Eastern District of Castle Bruce. I am happy to report that regardless of the presence of the COVID-19 pandemic, the project did well in meeting completion target dates. Through the expert guidance and collaboration of partners, including the National Authorizing Office, NAO, CRID, SORIL, the Office of Disaster Management, and NH Construction Company, the Jimit shelter is 100% complete and ready for use should the need arise. Official handing over of the Jimit shelter is set to take place within the next month, tentatively, PS, and I stand corrected. The Castle Bruce Regional Emergency Shelter is 89% complete, and external and internal finishings are being finalized. The total cost of the regional emergency shelter projects financed by the European Union is Euro 11 million, or Eastern Caribbean dollars 33 million. The Jimit shelter was allocated just above 18 million EC, and the Castle Bruce just below 13.5 million EC dollars. These regional shelters will have amenities to include open hall to serve as dormitory, storage, kitchen, washrooms, medical area, laundry, office area, alternate power, alternate water. The Jimit Regional Shelter has a capacity of 500 persons and will serve the communities of Taru, Maho, Jimit, Warner, Campbell, Massac, Les Point, Kinfield, Roger, and Fonkole. The Castle Bruce Regional Shelter has a capacity of 300 persons and will serve the communities of the Kalinago Territory, Petit Soufriere, Saint-Sauvier, Good Hope, Castle Bruce, Morpo, Tranto, and Dipa. For the satellite emergency operation centers, and disaster relief warehouses, best practices emerging from past events, that is Hurricane Maria and Tropical Storm Erika, heightened the need to decentralize operations through the establishment of satellite or mini emergency operation centers and disaster relief warehouses. To this end, the United States Southern Command financed the construction of 2 EOCs, one in Castle Bruce at a cost of $2.4 million EC dollars, and the other at Cotton Hill, Portsmouth at a cost of $4 million EC dollars. Construction of the EOCs/disaster relief warehouses at Castle Bruce began in March 2021, and I am pleased to report that this facility is now completed and ready to begin supporting disaster management operations. The Cotton Hill EOC/disaster relief warehouse is 55% complete. Expected completion is March 2022. Global Affairs Canada financed the establishment or refurbishment of a third EOC/resource center at Capuchin at a cost of EC $200,000. The Global Affairs Canada project also includes the establishment of a communication network from the EOC at the Capuchin Emergency Shelter and along the West Coast to the main EOC. This project is 85% complete, currently awaiting installation of backup power in the form of solar power. The next project is the administrative wing. The government of Dominica, through the ODM, is the beneficiary of an administrative wing at GIMIT, financed by the United States Southern Command at a cost of EC $2.3 million. This facility is 55% complete and is being constructed simultaneously with the Cotton Hill EOC by Sunrise Construction, utilizing local labor under the supervision of strategic consulting alliances. And finally, the Volcanic Seismic Monitoring and Early Warning Network. It is a known fact that Dominica is home to 9 potentially active volcanoes. It is therefore critical that the National Volcano Seismic Monitoring and Early Warning System remain operational at optimal levels. In this regard, the Office of Disaster Management, in collaboration with the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, and through the support of key partners, including the Disaster Vulnerability Reduction Project, or DVRP, the Connecting Communities for Climate Change and Disaster Preparedness Project, the Regional Security System, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, or CDMA, our local partner DOASCO, the Public-Private Sector Partnership through the DAIC, carried out repairs and upgrade on Dominica's volcano seismic monitoring network. Cost of equipment for repair and upgrade to the network is approximately EC $1 million. The SRC team carried out repair and upgrade works on the network during the period November 8th to December 6, 2021. At the end of this initial phase, 17 sites across the island were identified for installation of the stations. New installations were completed at the ODM headquarters in Jimit, the Londonderry Agricultural Station, Castle Bruce Secondary School, and the Wasco Earth Tank in Mondaniel. Repairs and upgrades were done to stations at Freshwater Lake, Scotshead, Salisbury, and La Plaine. 8 of the 17 stations are now operational, with 6 transmitting data in real time to the UWI Seismic Research Center in Trinidad and Tobago. Works are ongoing on the network, and the SRC team is set to return to Dominica in February 2022. The Office of Disaster Management remains committed to the advancement of the Resilience Initiative in Dominica. In 2022, we hope to finalize work on the ongoing projects, and we have plans and projects in the pipeline for improved operational readiness. We intend to revise and update our emergency plans and procedures and test them in the form of simulation exercises. For knowledge management, we intend to conduct more hazard awareness campaign, trainings, and capacity building workshops. For For greater sector integration of comprehensive disaster management, we intend to strengthen our partnerships with our stakeholders, particularly our public-private sector partnerships for enhanced coordination of disaster risk reduction initiatives. For community and district level programming, we hope to empower the disaster districts and communities through more resilient infrastructure and capacity building programs targeting the vulnerable population. Recovery and adaptation to the new normal. We are living in a pandemic environment. COVID-19 may be with us for some time. It cannot be business as usual. Therefore, we are working with our partners, our districts, and our communities on programming to adapt our disaster risk reduction efforts, taking into consideration safety protocols for operating within the pandemic environment. Our programming in 2022 will be aligned to these thematic areas. On behalf of the management and staff of the ODM, I wish to thank all of you, our partners, the stakeholders, the private sector, the volunteers, for your tremendous support during 2021. Through your support, we were able to achieve all that we did in 2021. We look forward to your continued support and partnership as we work together to further the resilience initiative in Dominica. And the Office of Disaster Management can be contacted at telephone number 266-4412, via email odm@dominica.gov.dm, and you can also visit the ODM's website at odm.gov.dm or the Facebook page at ODM Dominica 1. Thank you very much.
Honorable Minister of National Security, Raymond Blackmore, PS, Joe and Commodore, all the heads of department, the media, and the listening public. Before I begin my presentation, I would like to say to the Minister of National Security and the Permanent Secretary, a big thank you for the leadership, guidance, and support that has been given to the Met Office or the Met Service during these trying times. The leadership is definitely being demonstrated here today. Also, I would like to give commendations to the staff of the Met Service for their dedication, hard work, and support over the past years. The Dominica Met Service is headed by a senior Met officer as myself, who works along with other officers who are trained in the various competencies such as weather forecasting, climatology, hydrology, agrometeorology, instrument and equipment maintenance and repair, and weather observations. The Dominica Met Service presently operates 2 offices on the island, which are located at the Douglas Charles Airport and the Kinfeld Airport. Officers continue to provide hourly routine reports for aviation, weather briefings to pilots, and all necessary weather information for safe air navigation in and out of Dominica. Also current conditions, public weather forecast and other resources, and early warnings for hydrometeorological hazards in the form of weather reports via radio, the use of our website, social media, and an email system to include WhatsApp and Digitalization beep. On our website, www.weather.gov.dm, you can find warning information, current conditions, climate forecast, climate data. You can make data requests, find astronomical data, a resource page for public education, newsletters, and forecast information to include 3-day forecast, with weather warning color code information. The department collects, analyzes, stores and distributes data on the various weather elements such as wind direction, wind speed, visibility, cloud cover, temperature, barometric pressure, relative humidity, rainfall, and sunshine duration. Our website is updated with current conditions hourly and with the weather forecast 3 times daily. The service provides educational support to schools and community groups around the island. Hundreds of students visited the Dominican Met Service in the past to better understand how the various weather instruments work and the general operations of the office. However, COVID-19 pandemic has placed a damper on face-to-face activity, which is now done virtually. The Dominican Met Service operates under the watchwords, constantly monitoring the atmosphere. The Dominican Met Service is a member of the World Meteorological Organization, as well as the Caribbean Meteorological Organization and its associated entities. Presently, the Dominican Met Service has a limited number of stations in its network, and all stations adhere to WMO surface observation standards. We also do routine and preventative maintenance of meteorological equipment and instruments, and developed and established a metadata system for instruments and equipment, giving information about each station, such as location coordinates, and parameters measured, etc. The office consists of 11 dedicated staff members, which is 1 senior met officer and 10 meteorological assistants. There are 2 weather forecasters, 2 instrument technicians, 2 hydrometeorological technicians, 2 climatological technicians, and 3 instrument technicians, and there is also 1 intern from the NEP. We presently have 2 forecasters on training. The data and results from the Met Service, continuous monitoring of the weather, are used to provide products and services for national and international use. All sectors of the local economy and populace are considered equally in the provision of data services. Sectors to include leisure, commuters, agriculture and forestry, tourism, fisheries, disaster preparedness, building construction, and the public at large. Now to look at new developments ahead. The Commonwealth of Dominica is in the process of installing an advanced, real-time hydromet monitoring network and information system under the Pilot Project for Climate Resilience, PPCR, funded by the World Bank and the Government of Dominica, following the construction of a new 2-story Met Office building in Jimit with approximately 2,000 square feet each floor. The top floor consists of a reception, a weather broadcast room, unit head office, quality management systems room, staff room, server room, kitchenette, data library, and washrooms. The lower floor consists of conference room, server room number 2, electrical room, office, instrument repair room, storeroom, bed seat, and washroom. The Dominican Met Service is mandated to take the lead in the delivery of weather information based on the World Meteorological Organization agreement and works in close collaboration with the Office of Disaster Management. The hydromet monitoring system will consist of in excess of 40 real-time remote monitoring stations. These monitoring stations will measure rainfall amounts, river water levels, and other weather parameters such as wind direction, wind speed, temperatures, humidity, barometric pressure, and soil moisture, and will be well distributed around the island, with some serving as early warning systems. Civil works are already 96% completed. Critical sphere sensors for existing stations on the island were also purchased. This will be useful to refurbish some existing stations and as backup spheres to sensors that become faulty. Having these spheres in storage will greatly minimize equipment downtime. A hydrological current meter is also now available and used by the hydrological staff for the monthly monitoring of river discharges on rivers across the island. Prior to this, staff has been using manual methods for monitoring and estimating river discharge for 14 rivers across the island from 2018 on a monthly basis. This equipment will significantly improve the efficiency and accuracy of river discharge measurements. The remote stations will report observations automatically and in real time via satellite to the newly established data center computer system to be located in the new Met Office building, which is co-located with the Office of Disaster Management at GMIT. This data will be used to produce early warning information and forecast, impact forecast, and general hydrometeorological information storage and distribution as mandated under the WMO agreement, which can be used for planning purposes for a wide range of users and sectors in Dominica. The introduction of the advanced hydromet network will provide opportunities for the Dominica Met Service, as the service will be responsible for operating and maintaining the hydromet network, assisted by the WASCO, Forestry, Agriculture, and the Office of Disaster Management for a given task. Staff will also be assigned to the production and distribution of audio-visual weather presentations or weather broadcasts, as was previously done before Maria. Technicians must be dedicated to the operations and maintenance of the network, since the number and complexity of the envisioned task will require complete focus. Looking forward to a resilient meteorological service. And I also wish to call on the general public to make weather information part of their daily life. And I wish to say thank you to the general public for their continued support. I thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now call on the Labor Division to give their presentation.
Honorable Minister, Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, the Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, Ms. Joan Commodore, Chief of Police, Mr. Daniel Cabon, heads of departments. I think I also saw some senior managers within the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, members of the media, the listening and viewing public, and other invited guests. Good afternoon, and Happy New Year to everyone. Let us start by looking at what the division offers, and by that, what I mean is the different services being provided. The Division of Labor is committed to promoting international labor standards and occupational health and safety practices in the workplace, including the new protocol and procedures for COVID-19. The division works to ensure that the local laws and international standards and practices are respected by both employers and employees as we continue to preserve industrial peace and to encourage stimulation of the labor market expansion of all Dominicans. Recently, the division has
embarked on an educational drive to promote good practices in the workplace and has been meeting with both employers and employees on the work sites to investigate their individual situations and to provide vital information and advice on the interpretation and application of the labor legislation. Considering the health risk which emerged with the COVID-19 pandemic, the Division of Labor has had to increase its awareness of the provisions of the Employment Safety Act, and that is Chapter 1990 of the laws of Dominica. That is, of course, in accordance with the health protocols adopted by the Ministry of Health and the government of Dominica. The division has been providing advisory service to employers and employees and their representatives in accordance with those established protocols and approved by the Ministry of Health and the Parliament of Dominica. Other services offered by the division includes issuance of CARICOM skills certificates, issuance of work permits, issuance of certificates of naturalization. Notwithstanding all the challenges placed by the staff due to social distancing policies and health issues brought about by the pandemic, the staff of the Division of Labor continues to provide exceptional service to the public and strong support to other government institutions. The office was creative in adapting its protocol in a manner that ensured that the public continued to be served while safeguarding the staff. The government job box service, which was recently introduced as a result of the pandemic, has helped tremendously and continue to play a vital role in achieving these objectives. In regards to the Industrial Relations Board, or tribunal as it is popularly known, as with every other service, the activities of the tribunal has been interrupted by social distancing arrangements, and the tribunal has not met for several months. However, plans have been put in place in that regard so that the meetings can resume as soon as possible. Another important service provided by the division is the stimulation of the employment and job placement through the Canada Caribbean Seasonal Agricultural Workers Program. The Commonwealth of Dominica has been a regular participant on that program since 1966 and has the full endorsement of the government of Dominica. Over 85% of Dominicans who participate in that program come from the rural part of the island. Over the past 56 years, the participation of these workers on the program has indeed borne fruits for them. They have certainly been able to transform their lives and that of their family and the country by extension. Interest in the program by workers continues to grow every year. The program now consists of 108 active workers and 188 registered workers, which totals to 296 participating workers. And we also distributed application forms this week and the week before to persons who were interested. I think we gave out about 100 application forms, so we are looking forward to more participation this year in the program. I must also note that for the first time, ladies were accepted to the program, and we look forward to their continued participation. I would like now to address a matter of grave importance, which is being echoed by many employees within the private sector, especially in the security and cleaning service. And that is regarding the recent increase of the minimum wage, like the minister so rightly mentioned earlier. The increase took effect from September 1st, 2021, and that was in accordance with the Labor Standard Act of the 2017 revised laws of Dominica. The Division of Labor has played a major role in ensuring that the information is made available to both employers and employees around the country. However, it has been brought to the attention of the division that establishments here are yet to implement this increase as outlined in the new schedule of occupation and categories. As a result, the division has written to several business places about this proper practice and will be writing to the others in due course. Another concern is regarding the question of what rate is to be paid to other unskilled workers, such as porters and shelf packers, who are not listed in the schedule. These workers would fall under the categories of other unskilled workers and should be paid at a rate of $7.50 an hour. In addition to that, we continue to receive numerous complaints that many establishments continue to ignore that Sunday is a holiday by virtue of law, and that any worker who has consented to work on a holiday is entitled to double pay or time off equivalent to the number of hours that the individual would have earned. The same would apply for working after normal working hours on a regular working day, which would be overtime pay at a rate of time and a half or time off equivalent to the number of hours that the individual would have earned. Again, it is very concerning to the division that the Minister and Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, and while we applaud all the law-abiding establishments who have and continue to honor their basic responsibilities as employers, I wish to also appeal and encourage other institutions that have not to cooperate and adhere to the provisions of the laws. By not doing so, you are acting contrary to the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica, and we all are aware of the unfortunate situation this could pose for you legally. In closing, I wish to implore the cooperation of everyone as we continue to work together to ensure that the requirements of the laws are upheld in order to create a cordial, productive, and rewarding working environment for all. Our experienced and qualified technical team are always available to assist. Our contact numbers remain 266-3553 and 266-4605. Or we can be reached by email, labordivision@dominica.gov.dm. The Division of Labor looks forward to the continued collaboration with the general public. We will continue to do our best to provide optimum services to the public in spite of the many challenges that we are now being faced with. I
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now call on the Supreme Court Registry, the Deputy Registrar, to present you.
Good afternoon. I wish to recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of National Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Reuben Blackmore, the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Joanne Commodore, the Chief of Police, Mr. Daniel Carbon, other heads of department, members of the press, and everyone listening and viewing this press conference. The registrar is on medical leave, therefore I will present on behalf of the High Court Registry. In my presentation, I will cover the following areas: statistics from the Civil Registry, the implementation of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court E-litigation portal and functioning of the courts, mediation and training of new mediators in 2021, the relocation of the high courts and registries. For the year 2021, 468 new births were registered. There were 678 completed death registrations, and 139 deaths were registered with pending inquest. 223 marriages were registered, and in total, 22,425 vital events certificates were issued for 2021. The e-litigation portal and functioning of the courts. The Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court e-litigation portal was launched in the Commonwealth of Dominica on the 3rd of August 2021. Since the launch, all new proceedings filed in the Court of Appeal and all new High Court civil proceedings, including non-contentious probate and administration of estates matters, family matters, including matrimonial and adoption, and admiralty matters in the Commonwealth of Dominica, are filed electronically on the e-litigation portal. The e-litigation portal was launched in a very timely manner since the COVID-19 pandemic posed challenges for in-person filing of documents amidst concerns about the safety of the judges, court staff, legal practitioners, and their staff possibly handling contaminated files. With the implementation of the e-litigation portal, legal practitioners can remain at their offices, overseas, at their homes, or wherever they are located to file new matters without being hampered or exposed to COVID-19. It is also important to note that despite the challenges that COVID-19 pandemic posed for in-person sittings of the Court of Appeal, the Civil High Court, and the Master's Courts, these courts continued to sit electronically. Matters were conducted via the Zoom platform, enabling the judges, legal practitioners, and their clients and court staff to be physically distanced at any location with an internet connection and allowing the justice system to continue to function. This has proved especially convenient for persons who reside overseas to participate without being physically present. We will all remember the destruction our beautiful island suffered during Hurricane Maria. Both our civil and criminal courts lost their roofs, and for some time the courts were unable to function properly. With the e-litigation portal and court sittings being conducted via Zoom, the court can continue to function even if, God forbid, the court building is compromised for one reason or another, or in-person sittings are not possible. As it relates to the criminal court, there were in-person sittings for the 2021 January and the May sessions of the criminal court. As a result of the upsurge in COVID-19 cases since August 2021, the criminal court was unable to conduct trials for the rest of the year, given that in Dominica, criminal trials are conducted by judge and jury in person, and there were concerns about adequate physical distancing and maintaining the safety of the criminal court staff and court users. The January session of the criminal court is scheduled to commence on the 18th of January 2022. Mediation and training of new mediators in 2021. Court-connected mediation, which is a voluntary, alternative method of dispute resolution, which involves the parties to a dispute and a mediator who meet to discuss and reach a solution to a pending court matter, took place in person and via Zoom up to August 2021. And for the latter part of the year to present, mediations are being conducted only electronically via Zoom to help maintain physical distance and safety for those involved. From the 1st to the 12th of February 2021, 26 Dominicans were trained as mediators with the possibility of being placed on the court's roster of certified court mediators at no cost to them. This training was organized by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court and Judicial Education Institution in conjunction with the University of the West Indies and sponsored by the United Nations Development Program, UNDP. The Commonwealth of Dominica High Court wishes to once again place on record our gratitude to the organizers and sponsors. Move the relocation of the High Court Registry. About 2 years ago, Cabinet gave approval for the Ministry of Justice, Immigration, and National Security, as it was called at the time, to utilize the second and third floors of the Public Service Training Center building to move the functions of the High Court and civil registries, the Titles Registry, and the civil and criminal courts. Over the past 2 years, significant work has been done to retrofit the new space allocated to the courts and registry to ensure that the building space contained all the necessary offices and relevant sections for the department and court to function effectively. In designing the space, it was of utmost importance that the judges and all registry staff had a comfortable and safe work environment. Further, it was also important that legal practitioners, their staff, and clients and the general public would have a comfortable and pleasant experience when visiting our new and very much improved location. I am pleased to inform that the process of moving to the new location has begun. We are doing our best to ensure that the movement of the courts and registries is quick, with as little disruption to our services as possible. We acknowledge that as a result of the ongoing move, there may be some delays, but we remain open to serve as we move, and we assure the public that we are doing all in our power to minimize delays. We wish to thank Mr. Fitzroy Pascal, Coordinator of the Office of Disaster Management, and the Prison Service for their ongoing assistance in moving to our new location. We are grateful. I wish to thank the Honorable Minister in the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Raymond Blackmore, the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Joanne Commodore, for their efforts and support for 2021, and especially in the relocation of the courts and registry. I would also like to thank the support staff of the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs. Now, earlier, the Honorable Minister commended the staff of the registry, and I must say that this commendation is very well deserved. I wish to end by also commending the staff of the High Courts and Registry for all of their hard work. They served diligently even when it was challenging. Even when we were short-staffed due to COVID-19 cases, there were closures for a day or two as a result of COVID-19. But even during the upsurge of COVID-19 cases in Dominica, the registry remained open and the staff worked especially hard during those times to ensure that the registry continued to function effectively. I am grateful for all of their hard work and support and look forward to continuing the work of the registry in 2022. Best wishes to everyone for a productive 2022. Thank you.
Honorable Raymond Blackmore, Minister of National Security and Home Affairs, Ms. Joanne Commodore, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Daniel Cabon, Chief of Police, other heads of division, the media, the listening and viewing public, good morning. On behalf of the Companies and Intellectual Property Office, I would like to extend a Happy New Year, a prosperous, peaceful, and healthy New Year to everyone. The Companies and Intellectual Property Office is a division of the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs. CIPO is established by virtue of Part 2 of the Patents Act No. 8 of 1999. The office commenced operation on the 25th day of August 2008. CIPO is currently located on the top floor of the corner of Independence Street and Kennedy Avenue, Roseau. We are responsible for the administrations of the laws that regulate the registration of business names, companies, and intellectual property. This includes the filings of documents, issuing of certificates, and collection of revenue. From June 2016, CIPO transitioned to an automated e-registry, an online business registry. The e-registry is used by external users and CIPO for the registration and processing of companies' business name registration, and for post-registration processes by the Inland Revenue Division and the Dominican Social Security. The services for the registration of companies and business names are performed via an automated system, which is called the e-registry. The transaction to complete registration is twofold. There is the e-filing process, where the documents are filed online. Nevertheless, the same documents, the hard copies, are thereafter filed at CIPO. Notably, the paper certificates, the hard copies, are still issued currently to clients. Moreover, all payments are to be made at CIPO at this stage. As such, customers are still required to bring in hard copies of the documents printed to the e-registry. Additionally, we must inform the public that in 2021, CIPO is currently in the process of advancing the second stage of the digitalization process with the assistance and the support of the Compete Caribbean and Inter-American Development Bank. We intend to have our services fully digitized and to include the avenue of the e-payment services. This service is already being used by the government of Dominica and will be soon incorporated into our services. In the second phase of this project, we are also working on the interoperability of the process of registration with the Inland Revenue Division. In other words, we are going to create a one-stop shop. This is all in an effort to ease business registration. We have observed that during the COVID pandemic, there is a need for digital processes. In the second phase of this project, we are also safeguarding our documents and ensuring that our hard copy documents are all uploaded onto our e-registry. This will ease business for customers, whereas we don't have to go and look for documents. We can just file or present you with this document from our automated system. These services we have observed are much needed in these challenging times. CIPO in 2021 also added the compliance unit to the office. This unit was formed as a result of international and domestic obligations. The unit is primarily engaged in ensuring legislative compliance of all registered legal entities. This unit also works closely with all other legal agencies such as the Financial Services Unit and the Inland Revenue. At this stage, I would like to take the opportunity to advise all legal entities that they are mandated to file legislatively prescribed documents every year and pay their prescribed fees. Failure to do so would render the businesses to be struck off the register. In this regard, CIPO will be issuing notices to all registered entities to inform them of their legal obligations, including their payments of fees owed and the documents to be filed. This is all part and parcel of the new compliance unit's duties. This process has begun and will be embarking vigorously to ensure legislative compliance. Additionally, in keeping with the newly amended Companies Act of 2021, all companies have a 5-year period in which to restore their struck-off companies who have been struck off the register. Please note that if your business has been struck off, then they are no longer considered as being a legal entity. In this regard, we advise all financial institutions and persons engaged in businesses and legal persons to ensure that these legal entities are in good standing, as there is a possibility that these entities may be struck off. Additionally, we must inform that in 2021, the International Business Companies Act was repealed. However, there is still an obligation for agents of these companies to maintain all files and prescribed information of these IBC companies for a period of no less than 5 years. You can find most of the information relating to our office on our website at www.cipo.gov.dm. On this website, all necessary information about the registry and the laws may be obtained. Applicants are to also use this website to register as an e-filer through the e-registry to obtain your services online. Our registry staff is courteous and assists customers as much as possible in a friendly and efficient manner, as they are encouraged to provide as much assistance to all vulnerable customers, and also customers who are not acquainted with using digital processes. In this regard, if you encounter any difficulties in using the system, you are all encouraged to call. In the intellectual arm of CIPO, we must also take this opportunity to inform the public of the new development in 2021. Dominica has been a signatory of the Patent Cooperation Treaty since 1999. However, there has never been a designated receiving office or international search authority which is mandated under the treaty. In this regard, there has been no path afforded to nationals who wish to register their patents. In this new era, we have observed that many patents are being created where individuals are coming forth with new innovations, such as new medicines to fight COVID and new processes for enforcing social distancing protocols. However, we have observed that Dominican nationals who have chosen to register their patents are given the opportunity only outside of Dominica. Nevertheless, the process is to be available in the country as mandated by the treaty. This receiving office creates the avenue to file international applications under the PTC. Dominica, as our fellow CARICOM member states, has also delegated its receiving office to the International Bureau of WIPO. Our Dominican citizens now have an avenue to protect their IP patents. Registrations. For the period 1st January 2021 to 31st December 2021, the number of local companies registered were 193. Number of external companies, 5. Number of business names registered, 841. Number of new trademark applications received, 191. Number of new patent applications received, 11. We have presented 9 intellectual property journals to the Princery Department, of which 6 journals of intellectual property have been published. We must report that compared to previous years, there has been an increase in the number of small businesses, companies, and intellectual property registered at CIPO. There was the perceived fear that the pandemic would lead to a mass business failure. However, from the number of registrations at CIPO, a paradoxical effect was noted. That is to say, more businesses have actually been registered during this COVID-19 pandemic. We have also observed a new outlook on the type of businesses and business activities being registered. These business activities circumvent the restrictions of the pandemic and evidence innovative mindsets of entrepreneurs. For example, we observe a lot of digital activities being registered, a lot of food activities, whereas you provide services to individuals for delivery. We have also observed a lot of marketing, advisory, and consultancies being registered. This proves that our people are truly inventive, ambitious, relentless, and resilient as they continue to focus on important issues and livelihood. This period has been challenging for the world due to the COVID-19 virus. We must inform that all members of CIPO are fully vaccinated. We serve the public, and it is our responsibility to ensure that we protect the public we serve and each other. In this regard, I'd truly like to thank my staff, every one of CIPO, for taking on their own initiative to have been vaccinated. In keeping with the health and safety protocols, all members of the staff who come to our office are advised that they must wear their masks, social distance, and sanitize. At this juncture, let me take this opportunity to thank the many organizations and institutions who continue to assist with CIPO's development. WIPO, CARI Forum, OECS Commission, EU IPO, CARI IP, Compete Caribbean Inter-American Bank, CIPO, which is the Canadian Intellectual Property Office, the Japan Intellectual Property Office. Thank you for your support and assistance, particularly the training afforded to all members of staff. Many members of our staff during the pandemic used the opportunity of having access to these international organizations and obtaining certificates in business registration statistics, trademark review, and the like. We'd like to thank each of the organizations for the training afforded, and again, let me thank my staff for ensuring that they become certified and taking the initiative to follow up and engage in these training services. Thank you to the Dominica Youth Business Trust for continuous collaborative efforts with CIPO to assist entrepreneurs. Social Security, Inland Revenue, FSU, for the continuous collaborations. We look forward to our second phase of our digital project, whereas individuals will receive a one-stop shop with their CIPO registration number and their Inland Revenue registration number at our office. We look forward to this exciting avenue. We'd like to thank the many attorneys, members of the public who express gratitude for the services and assistance provided. We appreciate your sentiments and feedback. We look forward to 2022 to doing much more in engaging the public and stakeholders. World IP Day is on April 26, 2022, and its theme, IP and Youth, Innovating for a Better Future. Our office, with a complement of many young people, is excited about the theme for this year. CIPO would like to thank the public for their usual cooperation and diligence in filing all necessary documents to ensure that the companies and businesses are in good standing. We'd like to thank the Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and her staff for the support rendered to CIPO. For further information, please feel free to call our office at 266-3359-58 or 3189.
or email our office at cipoclerk@dominica.gov.da. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much, Madam Registrar. We'd like to call on the Registrar of Land to give us a brief presentation.
Please allow me to adopt the protocol as established by our chairperson and the permanent secretary. I am extremely pleased today to apprise the public on the state of operations and the achievements of the Land Titles Registry Division over the last year. I can report that the year 2021 was by all accounts a very successful year for the Land Titles Registry Division. Although the division is still relatively new, having been established sometime in 2018, it has continued to show steady growth and increased productivity in many areas. We recognize that the work of the Land Titles Registry is important to you, members of the public, for varying reasons. And we further recognize and appreciate our role as being essential and critical to the socio-economic development of individual citizens. Dealings with and transactions relating to land create economic activity within the state, and so we value our participation in that aspect of national development. Notwithstanding the various limitations and restrictions of COVID-19, I dare say that we have risen to the challenge in effective ways. We were obliged to seek novel ways to serve you safely while reducing undue interruptions in the usual services provided. I therefore take this opportunity to thank you sincerely for your patience and cooperation with us over the last 12 months, as we have had to modify the various ways to serve you. During that period, we instituted an appointment system for lawyers and individuals to consult their out-of-order files. We also instituted an appointment system for surveyors to conduct their hatching-offs, as well as appointments for consulting with the registrar. During the year, we also employed a new area for delivery of service to customers, which were necessary, safe, and practical. All these measures may have seemed extremely burdensome to you, but we submit that they were necessary and expedient for your safety as well as the safety of our members of staff. At the Land Titles Registry Division, we aim to deliver the best quality of service to our valued customers. That is why we are always looking for improved ways to serve you. And so we have taken note that the current office of the Land Titles Registry is no longer adequate for for service demands. Hence, we are in the process of transferring the land registry to a whole new location. And we are happy to report that the new facility is a great improvement from the office we currently occupy. The new registry office was designed to be more spacious and comfortable for you, our customers, as we continue to serve you this year and in the years to come. We are confident that the new amenities will also come with greater efficiency and productivity, as our staff will have an improved work environment. As you know, in 2021, our customers enjoy the benefit of the reduction in transfer fees payable to the government by 3.5%. We know that many of our customers took advantage of that time to conduct their transfers and realized great savings. We are happy to restate that the reduction was approved for a further year, and so individuals still have an opportunity to avail themselves of the benefit of the reduced transfer fees up to the 31st of August 2022. And now I wish to share some important statistics with you as it relates to the various work activities at the registry. And these figures are for the year ended 31st December 2021. Number of certificates of titles signed and delivered, 986. Number of caveats and mortgages signed and delivered, 746. Number of withdrawal of caveats and discharge of mortgages signed and delivered, 485. Number of encumbrances signed and delivered, 10. Number of requests for first titles, reconstruction of lost titles, or damaged titles, and requests to state a case presented to the registry for processing, 234. Number of first title requests and requests to state a case sent to the judges for review, 263. All this was as a result of the efforts and dedicated work of the staff over the last year. At the land registry, we have a complement of men and women who are devoted, caring, and hardworking. And over the last year, they have exhibited high levels of commitment and diligence in the execution of their duties and have been of great support to the division. For any information or query, you may contact our office at telephone number 266-3015, or you may email us at landtitlesregistry@dominica.gov.bm. And as I end, permit me to wish all our customers and other users of the registry, including the attorneys at law and surveyors, the very best of health, success, and favor in 2022. We are truly happy to have served you in 2021, and we look forward to serving you even better in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Registrar. I'd like to call on the Chief Magistrate to present for the Magistrates Court. This is kindly carried forward.
Pleasant good afternoon, and a happy new year to everyone. In the interest of time, please allow me to adopt the protocol that has already been established. Report for the Dominica Magistrates Court for the year 2021. The year 2021 was laced with challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic, as would be true for most other departments. However, we were able to push through and accomplish much in the circumstances. Completion of renovation works at Bayfront. Of significance to note in 2021 was that in early April, we saw the long-awaited completion of renovation works at the court's Bayfront location. Since the passage of Hurricane Maria, courts 1 and 2 had been operating on a shift system in a makeshift location. From the 6th of April 2021, we were able to return to their newly renovated original spaces. Both courts are now able to begin at 9 a.m., which enables magistrates to sit longer hours. Effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. Unfortunately, in August of 2021, the court was forced to suspend regular court sittings for a few weeks due to a spike in COVID-19 cases on island. Magistrates, however, continued to deal with remands virtually and sat to deal with urgent arrests. The office remained open every day, but its functions were scaled down. By mid-September, nonetheless, we were able to revert to regular functioning. Statistics. 2021 saw a decline in the number of cases dealt with. A total of 3,027 cases were filed at the Magistrates Court, while 2,546 cases were disposed of. 481 more cases were filed than those disposed of. Therefore, there was an increase in the backlog of cases. This increase can be attributed mainly to disruptions caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. For example, very often litigants, lawyers, police officers, court staff, magistrates were infected by or exposed to the virus, so matters in which they were involved had to be adjourned. The closure of court for a few weeks due to the COVID-19 pandemic and a shortage of adequate magisterial staff throughout the year further compounded the situation. Aid received from the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. In 2021, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court, or ECSC, was able to source funding from CARI Secure and furnish the Magistrates Court with a digital recorder for one courtroom. Once installed, this will reduce the amount of writing done by the magistrate, thus saving judicial time. It is my hope that such equipment will be received for every magistrate's courtroom as time progresses. In order to adapt to the times in which we now live, the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court also furnished the Magistrates Court with video conferencing equipment for one courtroom, which will be used in the conducting of remote trials once the necessary amendment is made to our legislation. Our thanks go out to jurists for funding this project. I also wish to place on record that the Zoom platform used to conduct remands daily has been paid for by the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court through funding obtained from the British High Commission. We wish to thank the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court for its tangible investment in the Dominica Magistrates Court throughout 2021. Training. The Magistrates Court was additionally able to benefit from the virtual training sessions organized by the Judicial Education Institute of the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court. All magistrates attended a magistrates leadership workshop from January 28th to 29th last year. The workshop focused on customer service and case flow management. Magisterial staff also attended a magistrates conference from the 3rd to the 5th of February, where our skills were sharpened in many areas. Staff matters. Bailiff Mr. John Honoré proceeded on pre-retirement leave in October of 2021. We thank Mr. Honoré for his many years of dedicated service and wish him all the best on his retirement. Looking ahead, staff matters. During 2021, the court functioned with 6 magistrates. I am aware that the permanent secretary and the minister of this ministry are feverishly working on filling the 2 magisterial vacancies which currently exist. This will enable us to accomplish more in terms of reducing the backlog. I am also hoping that in the first quarter of this year to see many members of my staff appointed. Connectivity at Bayfront. Although we have received some equipment as mentioned above, we have not been able to utilize them due to a lack of connectivity of internet services at the court's Bayfront location. Further, this lack of connectivity greatly impedes the court's functioning as we are not able to access our judicial enforcement management system at that location. I anticipate these services being restored during the first quarter of 2022. Buildings. Real court's physical locations. Plans are on the way for the expansion of the police station at St. Joseph so as to create a new space for the St. Joseph Magistrates Court, as our current location is inadequate. I also look forward to the completion of works at the Castle Bruce Police Station so as to allow the court to return to its original location. This will allow for more area to social distance in this COVID period. Further, we look forward to the moving of the Court's General Office and Courts 3 and 4 to our Bayfront building. The Honorable Minister has given the assurance that the court will be able to soon occupy the upstairs of our Bayfront office, where the registry is now situated, after it has been renovated and retrofitted. This will work well for us as there will be sufficient space for more courtrooms, and all of the Roseau Magistrates Courts will now be housed under one roof. In conclusion, I wish to thank my staff for their hard work, which enabled the wheels of justice to continue spinning even during this COVID era. Not for one day was our office totally closed. My gratitude goes out to the Honorable Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and all the auxiliary staff in the Ministry of National Security for their invaluable support offered to the Magistrates Court throughout 2021. Finally, I'm grateful to God for His grace that carried us through 2021 and will continue to be with us in 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Clearly, Mr. Farrell has made it with already. Mr. Nicholson Farrell, the Director of the Financial Intelligence Unit.
Let me recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister, Raymond Blackmore, Minister of National Security and Home Affairs, Permanent Secretary, Joan Commodore, Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, Mr. Daniel Carbon, Chief of Police, other heads of division, the media, and persons listening to this live broadcast. The Financial Intelligence Unit continued to be the main department in the national effort to combat money laundering, terrorist financing, and other financial crimes within our jurisdiction. Our management programs and additional staff has proven to be a huge success in the transformation of the unit capacity building, supporting greater efficiency and productivity. On a request made by the FIU to the Minister of National Security and Home Affairs, 2 police officers and 1 customs officer joined the FIU in March of 2021. As a result, the analytical department is manned by 3 persons and the investigations department is manned by 4 persons. The additional staff has brought immense value and productivity to this department, specifically the analytical department. Hence, the FIU is executing its mandate stipulated by the international accepted standards of FIUs and the Financial Action Task Force, FATF. The FIU is actively working with other competent authorities in regards to Dominica's 4th mutual evaluation by the Financial Action Task Force, which commenced on the 14th of December 2021. Dominica is being assessed in relation to its technical compliance with the Financial Action Task Force 40 recommendations and the effectiveness of its anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism AML CFT system. The date of the on-site visit by the team of assessors is scheduled for the 15th to the 26th of August 2022. Presently, the Caribbean Financial Task Force, CFATF, is conducting a 3-day standard training in preparation for Dominica's 4th mutual evaluation. The training brings together government employees and members from every facet of the private sector who are involved in anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism. Training. During the year, the FIU staff benefited from several training programs facilitated by the Regional Security System Asset Recovery Unit, the Caribbean Financial Action Task Force, and the United States National Center for States Courts. Cooperation. The Dominica Financial Intelligence Unit has partnered with the Regional Security System Asset Recovery Unit, the United States Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, and the National Center for State Courts in areas of mutual interest, such as capacity building, mentorship, development of policies and procedures, among others. FIU outreach. For the period under review, the FIU provided anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism, AML CFT training to various scheduled entities on the island. A number of persons from the private sector benefited from this training. The FIU e-filing platform has enabled the sharing of real-time information with other law enforcement agencies. The platform allows for instant reporting to the Financial Services Unit to aid in the supervision and regulation of the scheduled entities. The submission of suspicious transaction report through the electronic filing methods has increased the efficiency of the FIU during this COVID-19 pandemic. Statistics, cash seized. For the year 2021, the FIU effectively dealt with a series of seized cash in partnership with other law enforcement agencies, to include the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force and the Customs Division. Number of cases, 10, with a cash value of $3,350,919.60. Number of successful forfeitures, 3 cases, with a cash value of $1,985,855.84. Asset forfeiture fund, proceeds of crime detained fund. As mentioned in previous press conferences, in facilitation of cash seized and cases caught by the Proceeds of Crime Act, 2 accounts were established to ensure that funds seized or forfeited from persons are effectively managed: the Proceeds of Crime Detained Fund and the Asset Forfeiture Fund. As of December 2021, the following balances were recorded on the respective accounts: Asset Forfeiture Fund, $1,929,759.07. Proceeds of Crime Detained Fund, $1,156,735.88. In keeping with the Money Laundering Prevention Act 7303, Section 39, during the year 2021, $3,332,136.71 was withdrawn from the Asset Forfeiture Fund and utilized in projects and the purchase of equipment to law enforcement agencies, namely the Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force, the Customs Division, and the FIU. Money laundering investigations. In conduct of one of the FIU key functions, the FIU pursued a number of money laundering investigations, coordinating its activity with other law enforcement agencies, as well as the Director of Public Prosecution. For the period, 2 persons, including a non-national, was investigated and charged for money laundering. These matters are before the court presently. Suspicious transaction report. In keeping with the FIU mandate of receiving, requesting, analyzing, investigating, and disseminating information concerning all suspected proceeds of crime and suspicious transaction, and information related to property of terrorist groups and terrorist financing, in 2021, the amount of suspicious transaction report received, analyzed, and disseminated as follows: number of suspicious transaction report received, 164. Number of suspicious transaction report analyzed, 135. Report disseminated to competent authorities, 29. The FIU continued to investigate and prosecute civil forfeiture and money laundering matters. We look forward to a better and successful year as we commit ourselves to continue the fight against money laundering and other financial crime. Let me again advise the general public that they should be aware of various online scam and fake companies using social media to extort monies from vulnerable individuals. The public should report any suspected scam or scheme to law enforcement agencies before sending their hard-earned monies to persons they have never met, do business with, or play lottery with. A number of persons are reporting to the FIU after they have sent their hard-earned monies to persons or companies. The FIU is presently investigating at least 6 to 7 matters where persons are sending large sum of monies to fake companies to purchase vehicles, and these vehicles, or these companies are fake and these vehicles are never been shipped. The FIU thank everyone for their support and cooperation in 2021 and looking forward to your continued support and cooperation in 2022. Let me take the opportunity to thank the Minister, the Permanent Secretary, and the administrative staff of the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs for their continuous support. Our partners, the Chambers of the Attorney General, the police, and other law enforcement agencies, and the Office of the DPP for their tremendous support and assistance during the year. And most importantly, the entire staff of the FIU for their commitment and dedication throughout. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Director. And our last presenter for today, certainly not least though, Mr. Peter Ali, the Director of the Dominical Legal Aid Clinic.
Honorable Rayburn Blackmore, Minister of National Security and Home Affairs, Ms. Joanne Commodore, the Permanent Secretary in Ministry, Mr. Daniel Carbon, the Chief of Police, other heads of division, the media, listening and viewing public. The government of Dominica continues to emphasize its commitment to the vulnerable and at risk among the population. And this policy is the guiding principle of the Legal Aid Clinic. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic surge in July 2021, a new strategy had to be adopted by the clinic. In order to minimize transmission of the virus to staff, a decision was taken to do all initial consultations over the phone, allowing the clients to drop and pick up documents when necessary, ultimately causing a reduction in the foot traffic at the clinic and reducing the risk of transmission. The understanding and cooperation of the public is greatly appreciated. As a result of this, many clients were able to receive free legal advice by the attorneys over the phone, which in turn means that the true volume of clients served for the year of 2021 is not reflected by the recorded numbers. For the year ending December 31st, 2021, there were a total of 204 matters dealt with. 129 are recorded and as much as 75 are missing in the system. This is also an recording of the amount of matters dealt with, which we'll explain in a short while. The increase of violence, especially during the pandemic, is notable, as on a near weekly basis, clients come into the office with complaints of domestic violence. The increase in time families now spend in the household and otherwise seems to have had an adverse effect on them. We continue to seek avenues for closer collaboration between stakeholders, especially with regard to juveniles and the elderly. The Legal Aid Clinic, along with the private and other public attorneys, have embarked on the process of joining the rest of the Eastern Caribbean courts through the use of e-litigation processes. High court matters are processed through the use of the internet, bringing the clinic into this new era. The Legal Aid Clinic has been called on more recently by the Magistrates Court, the Juvenile Court, and the High Court to assist in terms of moving matters forward where the defendants are unrepresented. That is why we say that the record does not actually reflect the total number of matters being dealt with. We wish all the best to positive and productive Dominica in the coming year, and we definitely thank the Minister, Honorable Blackmore, for his leadership and the assistance given by the Permanent Secretary, Ms. Commodore. We thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ali. I want to thank all of the heads who presented here today. I think you all did a very good job. I want you to clap for yourself. Very high. And before we take any questions from the parties they have any, I ask each one of the minister to once again take the floor and close the call.
Thank you, P.S. It has been a long one. I really appreciate this of everyone. Let me at this time thank all the various heads of departments. So, good afternoon again. Good afternoon. It has been a very long one thus far, and I think everyone is actually yearning to live for the launch. And let me take this time to pause and to really appreciate and to highly commend and to express my gratitude to all of you, the various heads of the department, those of you who listen from your homes in Dominica and overseas, the media fraternity. Let me give you the commitment that the Ministry of National Security and Home Affairs, through its various departments, will continue to pursue its developmental objective consistent with the policy direction of this government, and will continue to deliver the most efficient and effective service to the public. As we proceed today to 2022, the number of exciting programs and projects that the ministry will undertake. I want to firstly reference a new police station is being considered for the town of Portsmouth, a modernized one. A new police station will be constructed also in the village of Mao, and to take into consideration the policy needs of the respective communities that I just referenced, and the reconstruction of the police station in St. Joseph to make sure that the court can operate in a modern, standardized, and modernized setting, and to see also the number of magistrates sitting on the bench will be brought to its full complement. And there's a commitment that we give as a government to ensure that we provide efficient and effective service to the people of Dominica. Once again, thank you very much for your service, and I'm referencing specifically you, the various heads of the department, and thank you to the listening public. Let me at this point express my gratitude to the Permanent Secretary for her support, and down to the cleaners within the various departments of the ministry for the wonderful service to country. Thank you very much, and Happy New Year again to everyone. And I'm happy I've been able to have this press conference in the best part of Dominica. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. And briefly, before we leave, is there any questions from the press?
And there being no question being asked because of
No, sorry. Is there any question from the? Are there any questions from the press? No? Okay.
Because you have gotten so much information today. They're well explained. So thank you very much, and God bless you.
Please feel free to partake in our refreshments on your way out.
Okay, so the media is also welcome to partake.
To partake in the refreshments. Let me go and get